Oopsies.
Yeah. Really hard to balance when without a dowel.
Yeah. That's not good. You want to see something cool, Jeff?
Absolutely. That's where all the coolant goes. There's that gas to water.
It's water. Freeze out plug's been repaired. More than likely, this block's been cracked.
Oh. So now you're thinking that
both front freeze out plugs have been replaced, so I bet I got froze. Well, that changes the dynamic of what we'll be doing. Let's get it apart and see what we have to work with. Poop. Welcome back to Lucore Automotive Services. So as you can see, I got the engine out of the chicken truck, but unfortunately it's full of water. When I pulled the dipstick looked like regular black oil, so I didn't think about draining the oil out of it to see what was in the bottom of the pan. Basically, I got to a point where I knew what I was working with, or at least I thought I knew what I was working with. I know I'm going to be getting a rebuilt injection pump and rebuilding the engine, so I decided to just get it out of the truck and get moving forward with the project. It looks like we might be needing to get a new block, but we won't know that until we get it tore down. So let's scatter this thing and see how bad the guts are. That's a lot of water. Should have said no. It was enough water for the oil pickup to pick up the oil or the water out of the bottom of the pan. So there's probably 2 quarts of water in there. We'll know soon enough. Let's get it apart, get it on the stand, get it drained, keep moving forward. Let's see if this half-ton engine stand will actually hold a half-ton. Wiggle it around a little bit, see if it's going to break. I guess it's going to hold it. Well, it's definitely full of water. What's that? Man, half-ton engine stand holds a half-ton.
for now.
Oh, until it doesn't.
That looks mighty like water, not like coolant.
It is much like water. Which is what was also in the oil pan. Yeah, not great. See, it just comes out. Alright, now we got access to all our fuel lines. So we got to take off all the fuel lines.
Spider.
And all the fuel lines, and then we'll pull our heads off.
Is it super?
First. Probably a good thing I didn't get it running. Hey, that's coming out.
So, what do you think the inside will look like? Curiosity.
I think the inside's going to look like a rusted hunk of garbage, honestly. I also wouldn't trust this engine stand enough to put any of my body parts underneath this engine. Just as a fair warning, because if the engine stand fails, the engine hits the floor faster than you can move, and if your foot's under there, it's not going to end well. I've only had one of these fail, and it happened in slow motion. But that was a unique situation. So
was it in slow motion because that's your memory, or like did it actually just happen?
no, we were rolling it through the shop, and all of a sudden it just started to get lower and lower and lower. We're like, oh god! And then it just like dinked on the oil pan, and basically the weld in here was no good, and it just failed while we were rolling it across the floor. It was pretty entertaining. It was funny after the fact. It wasn't funny at the time it happened. Grab I think there's a hammer over in my cart. Can you grab one of the hammers from over there?
I didn't have one as well.
Oh, no, I got it. Never mind. I'm McGilla Gorilla'd it. Take an impact and pull the water pump off. We got to pull the front pulley off. It's separate. It can come off. Yep, there you go. Watch your fingers.
That Jamaican jerk was actually good.
Gravity. So this is your harmonic balancer. That's your harmonic balancer bolt. Go ahead and pull your harmonic balancer bolt out, and we will pull the harmonic balancer so that we can remove the front cover, which will expose all of our stuff. We need to pull these 3 bolts as well so that we can pull the pump off. So this is your mechanical fuel injection pump. It is actually timed to the engine. So when you put the gear to the gear, there's actually timing marks. And you can actually change the pump without pulling the front cover off. You can pull this. You can pull all 3 of those bolts, which leaves the gear in its place. And then you remove your injection pump. Putting out for some reason. There we go. And then you remove your injection pump, you put your new injection pump back in, and the gears never get out of sync because you never remove them from the engine. So that's how you can service it in the car. If you look, when you set up your pulley puller, you want to use a cone that'll fit. Because if you ram this in there, you're going to destroy the crank. So you have a cone. You can see how there's a conical end to accept that. There's smaller ones and bigger ones depending on what you're using. You can see this has a 4-bolt pattern. So you just use 2 bolts opposed to one another. If it was a 3-bolt pattern, you would use the 3-bolt positions. Make sense?
Yep.
So these don't have to be in very far, but I usually just run them down by hand so that they're even, so that when you're pulling it off, it pulls it off evenly. They don't have to be tight, but you do want to have like a 1/2 inch of engagement. And that's an interference fit, so it's going to be snug, but the farther it comes out, the easier it's going to come off, and be ready to catch it because it weighs about 10 pounds. If you went the wrong way, double check that your bit's still intact inside. You're good. You're fine. Give it all the beans. then I put my tool away.
Oh Jesus! This is gonna be fun.
What's that?
You're gonna all cover up.
Yeah, these valve covers are glued on, so you're gonna bend them all up, getting them off, which is always fun to fix. Pry. And same on the other side. That's actually not as bad as I was expecting it to be. That's a cool car. Well, you said it was a gasser. So glad that car didn't die in that. I could.
Oh man.
They could have wagged the tail on that when that front came loose.
The motor that's in the front of it wasn't even strapped down. Just sitting on the tire.
What? What'd she trip over? She tripped over me because she was looking at the camera and not.
I'm watching the video and I'm typing back a nice response. I'm like, I'm so glad that car's in one piece and you guys made it back, blah, 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 blah. And she tripped over a wheel and tire from that car.
Oh God!
And just boom right on the concrete.
I don't mean to laugh, but it's pretty funny.
I was like, all right, so you might want to contact a priest and have an exorcism taken care of around that car. Because something's not right.
That's pretty funny. All right, so you're gonna put your rocker trunnion bolts. So these rockers are oiled. I think these are oiled tooth push rods, if I remember right. But so this bar, there's 2 bolts that holds all 4 of these rocker arms. These are your push rods, rocker arms, trunnions, rocker hold down bolts. So you're gonna pull 2 rocker hold down bolts, and then you're gonna pull 2 rocker hold down bolts. And as you bring them up, you know, like a half turn, because there's pressure on them, so you can bring them up evenly. You can zip them off, but I like to take them off a little slower just because I'm weird like that. So just grab a ratchet, take them off like a half turn at a time. And then it's front cover time.
Do all of them, both sides.
What's that? Yeah, do them all. Once they're loose, zip them out. Yeah, once they're loose, you can take them the rest of the way out with a cordless. Jim made these handy rocker arm trays too. They work good for holding push rods. When you pull push rods out, you always want to check both ends. Sometimes these steel balls will come off, and you gotta check to make sure they all come out of the engine when you're pulling it apart. I mean, we're going to be tearing this thing all the way down to nothing, so it doesn't really matter. And on this engine, they are all the equal length. There are some engines, they have different lengths for intakes and exhaust. So when you take them apart, you have to be aware of what is what. So we're going to pull our injectors and our glow plugs and any sensors or additional bracketry, and then we will pull this under.
Some of them are loose.
Some of them are loose. Oh, we'll take that one out. That's probably part of why it wasn't running well. Or it came loose when we were taking it apart. So that is a poppet injector. It just uses pressurized fuel to open it, and it has a spring in it that closes it. That's all it is. Well, no water on the injector. That's gonna be our dead hole. Don't worry about it. Once we get the head off, we'll beat it out from the inside. Is that one stuck too? Yeah, don't worry about it. We'll get it out. We'll drive them out from the other side. So take these bolts off the back of the cylinder head. So these two guys here. And then we need to take that guy off and take these brackets off the front. We need to go ahead and take these loose as well. Our water passage block-off plates.
Where's this?
Water passage block-offs. Basically all the bolts off the front and the back of the cylinder heads. So all our head bolts are the same length. Interested to see if this engine has been apart previously. I'm going to guess that it has been. 250,000 miles. This is probably not going to be light. I normally grab them like an exhaust manifold because I'm going to set it right on the end. That's one of the reasons I had to clean off all the stuff on there so that it will just stand on the end. Comes off. Carbon gasket. Have bad wear. I'm still waiting to see a cylinder with a hole in it. Bucket. However, you can drop it down on either, well, not drop it, but set it down on either side. All right, well, I'm impressed. Didn't see anything major yet. So let's pull the front cover off. So you got two and 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, and then the front cover will come off. Oil pressure sensors take a special socket. I always replace oil pressure sensors because 9 times out of 10 when I rebuild an engine and then I reuse an old oil pressure sensor, within a month the oil pressure sensor goes bad because now you've got like good oil pressure and this thing's weak from being old and they just blow out and start leaking. I've never lost an engine to that, but I have had rechecks for that. Look, I'm going to leave that in for now. We're going to mark it. It looks like it's cracked. See how it's got a crack across the top of it? So more than likely I'm going to have to source a new one of those. But I'm going to leave that be for right now. The lifters are in with keepers. We need to pull those out, but I'd like to get the oil pan off just to feel like I've got really good progress today. So, hey, there's a copper. I'm going to roll this way to get some water out of the block.
Well, that's where it ends up right now. So the crank rods, block, pistons, all that stuff are now up at Mike's at M&M Head Service in Delaware. He's going to go through the whole process to make sure that everything is good to go. Cylinder walls actually looked pretty good, especially with the fact that they had 250,000 miles on them. They are the original pistons that are in there. Crankshaft was beat up pretty bad. It's going to end up needing to probably be turned. But at this point in time, all that stuff is dropped off and it's on Mike's shoulders at the moment. We should hear something back in the next couple of days to see exactly what our situation is, if we need to get a new crank, if we need a new block.
if the heads are good, all that stuff. So he's going to take care of all that stuff, and then we will update you guys as far as what's going on from there, as far as what happens next with the jerk truck. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. It's just a little bit of, you know, honest to God diesel work here in the shop. It's not super entertaining, but it is what keeps the lights on and keeps paying our bills. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff. Are you a fan of the 6.2 diesel? It's not sexy, but it does just keep doing what it's supposed to do. Anyway, we'll see. There should be more of this coming soon whenever we hear from Mike. So yeah, we'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care.